These days, you're being asked a lot about foreclosure situations, and especially when the market slowed down a little bit or when the interest rates are going up. So this situation going to happen a lot more in the market. So it's really important to know what are the consequences about buying a foreclosure property. It's not only about because people think about when we are talking about foreclosure, they are getting a really good deal and they are getting a discounted property. So it's really important to know the consequences and the legal stuff that you got to be aware of in the foreclosure transaction. So it's really good to have a conversation with Lucas from LPLC and then see what are his thoughts about this situation.
Yes, Aaron, great question. We see a lot of people come through trying to buy foreclosure properties. One thing before making offers on these foreclosure properties, always speak to a real estate conveyancing lawyer. There's a lot of things in the schedules or terms of the contract that aren't really in a traditional resale type of situation. You know, as you're aware, buyers are buying these properties as is, right? There's no disclosures on the property. The new seller, whether that's a bank or a strata corporation, is not going to make any representations about the property. You don't know the condition, whether there's asbestos, mold, or anything in the property. Again, you might be getting a good deal, but you're buying the property, as you're well aware, as is. The other big thing that has massive implications on these transactions is the residency of the title owner. Now, if we're using the example of a bank foreclosing on a property, they're not going to be the actual title owner in most cases. They're going to have conduct of sale, but they aren't going to put their name onto the title of the property, again, in most cases. If that's the case, then ascertaining the residency of the actual title owner becomes a massive issue. If we do not know or are unable to ascertain the residency status of the actual title owner, there can be huge implications for 25% of the sale proceeds come closing. Yeah, so residency can be a huge issue there. But Marin, you were mentioning earlier about going to BC Supreme Court and seeing some of these hearings. Can you talk a little bit about that and the listing process?
So what's going to happen is they put the property on the market, they list it on MLS, and they're open to offers. They're going to accept one of the offers, and after that, they set a court date. In court date, they're open to other offers, the bidding offers. So basically, the judge is going to decide what offer they want to go with, and finally, they're going to accept the offer. One of the most important things that I want to ask you in this situation is, should they see you before the court date or should they see you after a court date?
Another great question. So unlike a typical resale purchase and sale where we would get the contracts after subject removal, everything's firm, finding, we're doing the conveyancing. In this situation, a foreclosure situation, I would highly recommend before making any offers, see if you're going to buy this property, speaking with a conveyancing lawyer, as there's typically a schedule in these contracts, in these offers that have been prepared by the bank's lawyers that outline the terms or additional terms or what the bank is willing to represent. Again, as we mentioned, they aren't making any representations on the property. They also put in there sometimes things about residency, which I was alluding to earlier. So giving us a call, having a conversation about this schedule that is effectively in all of these foreclosure contracts is highly, highly, highly important before making any offers. Now, the whole sale process will be guided by the court order. But again, before making the offer, it's very important that you reach out, have a conversation about some of the terms that the bank's lawyers have put in these contracts. Because if you don't, bad things can happen.
The last thing I want to touch on is the court order or foreclosure is not a fire sale. So people sometimes misunderstood the situation, and they have to understand they might get a good deal, but it doesn't mean that they will get a good deal. And then when the court happens, is there might be a lot of bidding actually offers in the court, and they might end up getting the property with the market value and not under the market value. And the other thing, they got to be really careful about the situation of getting a foreclosure property because they buy it as is where is. So they might see a property in a very good condition, but they might not get it as the same condition that they have seen.